final place on Egyptian soil where King Farouk laid his feet or walked on before he was ousted by a coup. So the symbolism of this place and the symbolism that hundreds of thousands of Egyptians entering the third week now, or in the middle of the third week of unprecedented anti-government, pro-democracy demonstrations, the symbolism of them marching towards that palace cannot be overemphasized anymore.
Okay, Jamal al-Shah in Alexandria with what appears to be just as ferocious, if you like, a movement and just as many protesters as in Cairo. Now, let's go back to Cairo. On the phone with us now is Talat Musallam, who's a retired army general, and he speaks to us through a translator. Thank you for talking to us, General. I'd like to get your interpretation of the statement that was made by the military council earlier on today. The crowds in Cairo and Alexandria appear angry with the army's statement. How do you interpret the comments?
The statement number 2 can be interpreted that the regime has realized it is in confrontation with the masses, and the masses still need a guarantor to ensure that the amendments proposed will be materialized. And therefore the armed forces was of opinion to provide these guarantees in order to send those masses back home and to restore the normal way of life, resume their work and duties. Therefore, the Supreme Council of the Egyptian Armed Forces saw no objection to provide these guarantees, simply for the reason that what is required is to have the people's demands answered at the end of the day.
But did we actually hear any guarantees from the army? Because what we heard seemed to be a very vague statement. There was no dates given for the lifting of emergency rule. There was no dates given for a transition of power.
This is quite natural, and lifting the emergency law is directly linked to the demonstrations. The emergency law can be lifted overnight. These demonstrations must first come to an end. The statement also included other guarantees that the promises made by the president and his vice president will be translated into concrete measures. The armed forces saw it is required to provide these guarantees, and now the ball is in the court of the masses to decide whether these guarantees will be satisfactory or not. This is my own interpretation of the statement.
Okay, well, at the moment it seems as if the masses have decided that they don't accept these guarantees. I don't know whether it's because they don't trust the army, or they don't believe the guarantees, or they don't think they go far enough. But from what we see, it hasn't made a difference. So what is the next step?
You are true. Masses are not satisfied with the statement made by the armed forces. Therefore, it is clear now that they are not seeking guarantees. They are asking for their demands to be answered. But as we can see, there are only few remnants of the regime. Currently, we are eagerly waiting for statement number 3, and we believe it will be released very shortly. And as per the information in my hand, the Supreme Council of the Egyptian Armed Forces is in session, and it is about to release the 3rd statement very shortly. After that, we have to look or wait and see.
Do you have any information or perhaps any opinion on what statement number 3 will have in it?
I have no information, but I have a message that the Supreme Council of the Egyptian Armed Forces is in session, and it is about to release statement number 3. I don't have precise information about the content of the statement to be released, but I can picture, or I at least hope, that statement number 3 will meet the aspiration of the people. We should wait and see what the armed forces will state.
General, one quick final question. Do you think it possible, constitutionally, practically, for the army to assume interim power in Egypt and allow President Mubarak to leave the presidency?
Constitutionally, no. As per the constitution, the armed forces is outside these political wrangling. The armed forces are required to carry out the instructions handed down by the political leadership, and there is no constitutional scope for the armed forces to act. On the other hand, the people have very legitimate demands, and I still have to wait and see.
All right. Talat Musalam, retired Army General in Egypt, joining us live from Cairo. Thank you for your comments. Now, it has